This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. The information contained in this podcast is intended for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for individual professional legal advice. The podcast information was carefully compiled from vetted sources and references. However, R.O.S.E Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly cannot guarantee that you will not fall victim to a scam. Let's talk about scams. It's the must-listen show for anyone who wants to protect themselves and their loved ones from scams. Every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio, Joyce Petrowski, founder of R.O.S E, and her guests will provide valuable insights and practical tips on how to recognize and protect yourself from scams. And now, here is your host, Joyce Petrowski.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Joyce Petrowski, founder and board president of R.O.S.E Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly. You can find more information on our website at roseadvocacy.org. You'll find all of our social media links at the top of the homepage. You can also scroll down to the bottom of the homepage where you'll find the links to sign up for our newsletter. We send one via email and we send one in the mail. The emailed one, you'll get a Tip Tuesday, every Tuesday morning at 9:15 Arizona time. Great thing about that is it just reinforces your scam prevention habits and healthy skepticism. So today, or first, before I say today, I hope everyone had a fantastic Easter over the weekend. Hard to believe it's April already, but it's April already. But today we have David Hawkins back. And one of the things that we talk about in our presentations, because we always get asked, when we talk about, let's say, antivirus software, well, what's the best one that we should use? And everyone's situation is different. And so we're going to talk about how to do and show you how to do some research using artificial intelligence to do some research to determine which antivirus software would be good to use. So let's welcome David.
Good morning. Good to see you again, and I hope you had a happy Easter.
Yes, I did. How about you?
It was excellent.
Yep.
Dinner with family and friends.
Nice. All right. So we are going to get right into using an artificial intelligence software, using it for good. We're going to use it for research to determine, and I just threw out which antivirus software would be good for me to use, right? And our audience. And so I'm going to let you go ahead and start with the demonstration.
Sure. And I'll go ahead and share my screen, but I'll also give you a little bit of a backgrounder on the AIs in general, just at a high level. So it helps to make sure people, a lot of times when you don't know which one to use, it becomes like, I'm afraid to even use one of them, right?
Oh, right.
So basically think about it this way. The internet is a great big library for us, right? We can go out there and search and find anything we need. So in a way, your AI is your librarian, right? So it's the Dewey Decimal System of the internet for us nowadays.
That's a good way to look at it.
I know some of you know what that is. So
I do.
So think of it as a librarian for you, and the difference between a librarian and just walking in and saying, okay, where do I find the books on psychology? It's a big difference, right? The librarian actually talks to you and helps you find what you're looking for. But it's the one thing about this librarian is, unlike the librarians we probably grew up with who actually knew to ask you all the right questions, you
Correct.
kind of have to prompt them so that they know what to look for you.
Okay.
So the idea here, though, is it's predicting answers, right? It's just a pattern prediction engine.
Mm-hmm.
they're creative and fast. So sometimes they'll come up with really good, interesting caveats around a topic.
Okay.
And one of the things that they have is that there's no follow up. So if you ask a real librarian, where do I find books on psychology, they'll point you in the right direction. And then when you get there, they might even show up in the aisle and say,
Yeah.
"Is this what you were looking for?"
Right.
The AI is not going to do that. And at a quick high level, there's a couple of big ones out there to know. ChatGPT is probably one of the most common. People know it by name. It's heavily marketed, so as a
Mhm.
result, everybody gets a copy. Everybody gets emails and whatnot about it. Claude is a lot less well known. It's really like the programmer's paradise type of AI.
Okay.
So maybe a little overkill for most people. Gemini is like a perfect sweet spot, in my opinion. The tool that I'm actually showing you this in is a Gemini product called
Okay.
Notebook LM, and it's
Okay.
free, by the way. And then, of course, there's Grok. And if you do anything on X or Twitter, this is the default built-in AI.
Okay.
And it's the one I use the most because it tends to have both the internet stuff, but also proponents. So, in the cybersecurity realm, there's a lot of people in cybersecurity that I know and that I work with. And so when I go look something up in Grok, it goes out to the internet, gets me results, but it
Mhm.
also tells me what the experts over on X or Twitter actually say about it.
Oh, okay.
So that's one of the reasons why I've always kind of gone in that direction.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to talk a little bit in a minute about how to create a good prompt. I'm going to give you one quick tip. Ask the AI to help you make the prompt.
Oh,
Don't just do it yourself.
okay.
It's easy. It's easy to ask, but it's called reverse prompting.
Okay.
You're going to say to the AI, "I don't know what to do. Help me to figure out what to do," before you even ask about the first topic.
Okay.
And then, there's some of this other stuff here is interesting, in terms of the use cases. But let's just talk about this for 1 second, because a lot of people, AI is generally free. And for the
Right.
casual average user, you're going to go to any of these and you're going to say, search, and it's going to give you an answer. You don't
Okay.
have to subscribe. But if you're like me, I'm heavy into research. I dig into things really deep. So I pay for a couple of these. I actually have more than one of these that I pay for per year. And I
Okay.
would have to say, if you're going to look at the one that has the biggest bang for the buck, it has to be Google. Because if you decide to subscribe to Google, what you get is something that has 20 tools, and it's going to be very familiar. All of those tools work in documents and spreadsheets, and there's just so much that they offer as fringe products.
Okay.
Even like going through your email and helping you find things and eliminating spam and things like that. So probably the best overall bundle is the
And
Gemini.
that's
Should you decide.
19.99 a year?
19.99 per month,
Oh,
and they
okay.
have an annual if you choose to. That actually is reduced cost on all of that.
Okay.
So all of these, anytime you buy into one of these, this is a monthly fee.
Got
Like
it.
I said,
Okay.
it's not for everybody, and
Yeah.
you don't need to use the paid version, but I find that it's very useful to actually be aware of the paid version,
Mhm.
because it is for some people it's going to be a little bit more useful to have that paid version.
Okay.
So the big things that I wanted to mention here before is, how do you ask AI anything, right? How do you figure out what AI is going to? How do you get the best results?
Okay.
Because it's not just search. If you just search, you can find a bunch of things. And what is the first rule of search? Put the ads at the top. So you're always going to see a million ads when you
Yes.
just say, "Show me the best this and that."
Right. It'll say ads or sponsored ads. Yeah.
Exactly. And if our premise question, which we'll get back to in a second, of what is the best antivirus, that whole discussion it's fraught with a few perils. One of the
Okay.
perils is who paid for the most exposure in the search engine. That's
Oh,
the one that's going to go to the top. That's why ChatGPT goes to the top. They pay
okay.
for advertising. So when it comes to which is the best chat or AI to use,
Hmm.
well, the one who pays the most advertising is the one that shows up on top. So that's how the first rule of thumb when it comes to search.
Okay.
But always have a really clear idea of what you're trying to do
Okay.
and try and separate things, because a lot of times people will say, um, tell me this and that, right? So, for example, what's the best antivirus and VPN, right? It's mixing product,
Okay.
so it's hard not to do that sometimes, because a lot of questions that I ask my AI from a personal perspective are, I just copied and pasted all of the pictures of the ingredients for all of my supplements that I take. I copied and pasted them into a Word document, and I
Okay.
want to know, is this overkill or just right in
Okay.
terms of taking supplements? So it can look at the images and get that information out. But then you say, and is it right for my labs? Well, then you're getting into a totally different topic, and you're going to have to
Got it.
post other files to make it work. So you've got
Right.
to just be very clear and concise to get really good results.
Okay.
But this is the big one, is the reverse prompt. So before we begin, let's start with actually doing some prompts. So my first question, you said, how do we discover what is the best antivirus? So my first question is, and let me go back to the document for one quick thing. I want to ask uh, the AI to do something as a person. Okay, so I want to tell them, I want you to act like an expert. That's the
Okay.
very first thing.
All
So
right.
when I
That
create
makes
my
sense.
prompt, I'm going to say, act up like a security professional that understands endpoint. Endpoint is like our computers, right?
Right.
Endpoint security for consumers, because we don't want to be a corporate
Right. We don't
in
want to,
here.
right. Because that's different.
What is the best antivirus?
And do we need to say like for 2026, so it's only pulling current information?
Not really. You
Okay.
can, but sometimes it's better to just let the AI do this.
Okay.
So the first thing I'm doing is I'm kind of framing my question, and then I'm going to say, give me the best prompt. This is the reverse prompt to get a side-by-side comparison of these products.
Now, should we say for seniors? Or
Yes,
would that
I
be
am
okay?
a senior over 55
Okay.
and not a tech genius.
Okay, that's good. So it's automatically going to look at ones that are easy to use.
Right, right.
Okay.
And so that goes back here to this. And by the way, I'll share this document. We can put it up as a link
Okay.
at the end of the
Okay.
session. But how do we want to see the data? Right, that we're telling it right now. Give me a side by side comparison.
Hmm.
We're asking it to give us the best prompt so that we get the best results. We're giving a little bit of background. That's, hey,
Yep.
I'm over 55 and I'm not a tech genius. And we told it to use a persona, and we try to be very clear and specific.
Okay.
So that's really the focus, and that's how we start. So if you had a set of bullets like that like in a note that you keep handy whenever you want to
Mhm.
make a prompt, you just copy and paste those
Okay.
into the prompt and then rewrite it for what you're looking for.
Right. Okay.
And by the way, just to give you an illustration of that, I actually have this thing in Google. I use Keep Notes, and
Okay.
what I do with my Keep Notes, and let's just refresh it. There we go. So I have this thing down here called prompts, and I just keep saving prompts that
Okay.
I'm getting good results. I copy the prompt after I used it if it got
Okay.
good results, and I paste it in over here, like, how to shop. This is a beautiful one, and we'll talk about that afterwards. But yeah, so let's take a look at how this comes out. And the one thing about AI, this isn't instantaneous. So this is a great time. Like, I love to take a sip of coffee right
Yeah.
about now and recognize that. And you notice, by the way, it's already took, I don't know if you can see it. It's
It's a
small.
little hard to see. Can
Yeah,
you
it's
zoom
really
in on
small.
it?
But what it's actually saying is pricing and details and articles that it's pulling up based on 2026.
Okay.
That's why I didn't bother with the year, because
Got
the
it.
very first thing it does is tells us
Okay.
a little bit about that. So now remember, this was step one. This is not the actual results. And what we did is we created a prompt, and the prompt is as a security professional, right? And then it gave me the prompt. So I can take this whole thing. Now I can just copy it, and I'm going to make a brand new chat so that it's clean. And then I'm going to
Okay.
paste it in. And then I'm going to hit enter. Now it's going to go get the results that I'm looking for. And it's going to be nice and clean, side by side comparison
Oh,
with a table. It's giving me pricing information because I asked for that. It's said, who is it best for? It's
yep.
best for seniors in this case. Who's getting the top scores and why?
Okay.
Why is it easy? Things like that. So it thought through how to get these kind of results for us, because we asked the AI to make a quality prompt for us. And it's thinking of things we're not, right?
Okay.
The pros and the cons.
Right.
If we go further down, it'll have a honest recommendation. Bitdefender Total Security seems to be the top with the best lab tests by catching
Yeah.
viruses, scams, and ransomware, and so on. So the main lesson here is to recognize that if you treat AI like a search engine, yes, you can get great results. But if you ask it to help you get the best results the first go around, it will give you incredible results that you don't have to do 2 or 3 iterations of this.
Okay. So how do you then know where it's pulling this information that,
Well,
because obviously, scammers they impersonate companies with fake websites,
yeah.
and um, you just want to make
So,
sure that where it's pulling the information is from. Okay, so please cite your sources and show me the links for each
and
product.
we could have put that into the prompt at the beginning, by the way.
Okay.
So when we do that, now it's going to respin the whole thing, and this time it'll have links and the sources. So it's telling us that the avtest.org is one of the key resources, AV comparatives, CNET, PC Magazine. So it's telling us where it got the sources. The official product link. So in this case, what it's actually telling us is to make sure you don't accidentally click on that advertisement that brings you to a scammer.
Mhm.
It's saying, here's the actual details on the deals from the site, from the vendors themselves. And then the quick note, the production ratings and ease for seniors and all of those descriptions are, it's giving you its methodology for
Yeah.
why it gave you these links and what
So
the previous research
so
was.
when it gives you these links, like go down a little bit further to like the actual sites,
Mhm.
how do you know that that is the actual legitimate site and it's not a scammer site?
Yeah. So first off, the AI is going to clarify and make sure that they're not bad sites.
Okay.
So it does not behoove the AI to send you to some location that's going to compromise you. Now,
Okay.
that doesn't mean that it's perfect, right? But again, you hit on yet another thing that I would say, let's start at this original prompt, because I want to take this prompt. I want to keep this perhaps, but let's put a couple things in the prompt that started out. Let's add a few lines to this. Give me links. I'm gonna just copy and paste. I don't need to redo this. So I'm just going back down to the what
you
we
put
did,
in, yeah.
and I'm gonna just copy that, and I'm gonna stick it in that original prompt. And you notice all I'm doing is editing the original prompt, and then I'll go back down to the very last one where I started to where we got these links here. There we go. And I'll copy this one. So this is how we're actually improving this prompt for future use. And so now we'll just hit that and paste it in.
So
And
you
then
have it
the
in there
final-
twice?
Oh, that was the same one. That's okay.
Yeah.
But the final one is, please show me proof that the links you give me are safe.
All right. Very good.
Okay. And that is yet another way to protect yourself, because anytime, and I would actually think your question just gave me the idea that that has to be in every prompt I do from now on. Because I don't
Glad I
wanna
could
be
help.
caught short. Yeah. So it's a great idea. So here's the links again, and proof that the links are safe. These are official company websites. They appear in reputable reviews and major review sites like the ones cited. And you can verify the safety quickly by, here's the logic as to how they are
Okay.
safe. So that's right off the bat, probably
Nice.
the best approach that I would take when you're doing research. Start
So-
off by asking it to give you good research mechanisms, and then iterate and make little changes to it and run it again and again until you get what you like.
Can you go down to the comparison?
Sure.
And let's talk about the details in the comparison. Like, and so it gives you the antivirus option, the
Yeah.
overall protection rating, and where they got that from, 2026 labs. So that
Yeah.
right there tells you that they're getting it from a source that is evaluating things in 2026.
Yes.
And
Yes,
it tells
exactly.
you why it has the top marks. Um,
Talks
and
about the ease of
then
use.
ease of use
helpful
for
features.
non-tech,
Yep.
and then key helpful features for everyday seniors. Current first year price, US, and then one to 5 devices.
Right.
So it'll tell you how much it is annually for anywhere from 1 to 5 devices.
Yep.
And I like how it says it would, like the first one, Bitdefender Total Security, it's $60 for 5 devices for the first year, but it'll renew at $110.
Well, yes. And it has
But they
deals
have
as low as
deals.
30 to 60.
Yeah, they have deals. So, you can always look for discount codes, and then it's best for, and I think this is really good, seniors who want simple, quiet, top protection without the fuss. And then like the Norton one, it says it's best for seniors who want extras like a VPN and a backup plus reliable help. So if somebody was like, oh, okay, well, the next thing I was going to search was going to be, I need to do regular backups and I need a VPN, then they'll look at that and go, well, maybe I want to go with Norton because I can get all those in one bundle.
Correct. Yep. And I will tell you a quick buying tip for a lot of these products. There are some unique situations sometimes, especially if the product is newer. If it's a newer, and just forget that I'm talking about antivirus for a
Right.
second. Let's just talk about software in general. Every now and then, you will find a product like maybe some Bitdefender Total Security product, and they say, buy the lifetime license. do it. And I say that because I actually have a Malware Bytes license
Okay.
that I bought back in 2000, I'm going to say 2007, maybe 2008. I bought it for maybe $50. I've never had to pay for it again.
Yeah,
It's
and so
been
you buy it, and because if you do it annually, you're gonna hit whatever price increase they have.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And
so you can save
so
yourself money in
yeah, and
future years.
it's shocking. I mean, now bear in mind they're going to build all kinds of features around that original product, and they'll
Mhm.
stop developing on that original product. And then, eventually you'll probably want to go with their newer subscription. But if you just imagine for a second that you get a $45 a year charge for one license, and you bought an original product as a lifetime license one time, and it's $60, and then you go 10 years without having to upgrade it at all ever,
Mhm.
the savings is staggering.
Yeah,
So
right, so because 'cause you're just paying 45 or $60 a year versus 80, 100, but so you said without upgrading, so
right.
let's hit on that.
Mhm.
The license that you bought could have upgrades every so
Sure.
often to the software, which you need to do. When you're talking about not having to upgrade, that would be upgrading to a different license.
Platform. Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
so my original Malwarebytes license, like I said, I bought it for about $60 for a
Mhm.
lifetime one-time purchase. It gets all the latest updates for the original product, but they've added VPN, they've added all of these other fringe products, which
Mhm.
frankly I still don't even buy. I don't need. And so I had the original product, and I bought it one time, and now I do have a subscription for other devices, but I
Mhm.
have one device in my house that forever is on this platform.
Got it. Okay.
And it's a rare thing to come across that. Bear in mind, it's not like you're going to just find this anywhere. It usually comes into play when you have a brand new product coming to the market.
Okay.
And the reason that I brought it up is because when you start doing these side by side comparisons, or you start researching for something new like this, you're probably going to find some new products in the process.
Mhm.
And when you do that, it's really nice to be able to buy those products.
Yeah, lock it in at the lower price.
Yeah. And another one I did that with is a product called DaVinci Resolve, which I use for video editing. I bought a one-time purchase of that product, and if you bought the original version of the one-time purchase about 5 years ago, it's still fully functional. It gets everything. The newest one added AI features, so I had to buy up to that
Oh,
because I
okay.
wanted those AI features.
Right.
But other than that, these are like, when you find one of those, if you can do it, do it. It's a real deal.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't wanna save money, right?
Yeah, yeah, and especially when you think about how much you use something like this is supposed to be a set it and forget it software.
Mhm.
You shouldn't have to go back in and fiddle around with your antivirus every other day
No,
or every
because it
week.
should be running 24/7.
Yeah,
It's just gonna notify you, right? When maybe
exactly.
you've clicked on a bad link, or you're going to get on a website and they're like, we don't think this is really safe," but you can also set within the software settings, you can set it to automatically update.
That's right.
You can go in, you have to open up the app, the software app,
Yeah,
and go into
and
the
here's
settings.
the example. I'll bring it up. We'll open it up, and right off the bat, it's warning me to
Can you make
make
that
some
bigger?
fixes. And now that, to be fair, is actually just marketing for
Yeah,
additional products that I
yeah.
don't own. It's trying to
Can
get me to buy up to
can
the
you make that
VPN.
bigger? That
Yeah, they
screen
want they
bigger?
want more money.
There we go.
So, but yeah, that's the best I can do on this size. Sorry about that. I don't.
Oh,
Yeah, it doesn't zoom in too much. Um, One of these days, I got to get the magnifying glass, the old magnifying glass tool.
yeah.
Let me see if I can actually do that. Accessibility here. This is if you are using there are certain products that exist in Microsoft from an accessibility perspective. Accessibility, oops, I gotta spell it right. Accessibility, there we go. Now let's see if it, can I spell today? There we go. So we have an on-screen keyboard, a contrast theme, audio settings, and I was looking to see if there's, oh, there we go, magnifier. So if you use the magnifier,
You just turn it on.
you can actually bring this over and let's do, there we go. How's that?
It didn't do anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the magnifier will always work the way I would expect, but I'm going to zoom it down. We'll turn on the magnifier again and see if we can get, there we go. How did that zoom in for you at all?
No.
No? Yeah, this works great on your own computer and it zoomed in 200%. But it doesn't go through the desktop share, unfortunately.
Got it. Okay.
But I have one more quick trick up my sleeve on this one. I'm going to use a screenshot.
Oh, there you go.
And I'll take the screenshot and zoom in the screen.
There we go.
There we go. So these are all little tricks you can do when you're trying to show people things. So the up top here was this Fix Now, and this is the tool trying to get me to buy up to a newer thing. And it's, you can see that what it's saying is that because I don't have a VPN turned on, that I'm potentially exposed.
Oh, okay.
I don't necessarily need to worry about that. You know, that's just like I said, it's marketing. So, but when it comes back to doing these types of tools, it's always good to understand how is it updating, how often is it updating, and is it scanning when you want it to. So
right. So I see the automatic updates right there. You have it turned on.
Yes.
It's the second one. Yeah, you just go to the gear icon, whether it's up at the top or it's down on the left side toolbar or the right side. You go to that gear icon and you can manually go in every now and then and click check for updates, but it's best to just automatically download and install updates and have that turned on because, you know, you could forget. I know even though I put everything on my calendar, I've had it happen where sometimes I go, yeah, I'm doing that right now. So I delete it. And then an email comes in and I squirrel off onto the emails and then I forget what I was doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's just best to have it automatically update.
Yeah. And here's another one for you that I think is easily forgotten is the scan and detections. So when you get an antivirus, no matter what kind it is, make sure that it's scanning automatically. And nowadays they have these use artificial intelligence to detect threats. That's a good idea, obviously, because you know that is a good leverage the capabilities of the tool to the best of its ability. And then, you know, I didn't do it on mine, not because I don't want to, but because I simply forgot. So scanning for rootkits is always a smart move. This is just an extra tweak. So I would definitely do that.
What is rootkits?
So a rootkit is something where sometimes you click on something and it infects you. And once you're infected, it stays resident on your system. And when you reboot, it can come back with administrative privileges called root privileges. And so the rootkit, the way that rootkits generally work is it's a method for the virus, whatever infected you, to elevate its own privileges.
As
so
admin.
That it now has super user privileges on your computer and it can install software, go download things.
Yep.
So you
Yep.
want to prevent those.
Okay. So if you see that on your settings under scan and protection,
Yep.
always make sure you turn on the scan for rootkits.
There you go. And I'll just bring that back up so you can see it.
And you're going to turn yours on.
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
I did.
That's the screenshot.
Yeah, and by the way, this occasionally gets turned off on updates, so you sometimes have to come back in here and turn it back on.
You know, that's a good thing that, we haven't talked about is, you always want to do your updates.
Mhm.
But you should really go back into your apps and look at the permissions that
Correct.
are given
Absolutely.
because you don't want it to, in essence, default back to what you originally had given permissions to.
That's correct. Yeah,
Yeah, it just
you wanna double check every time it does an update.
yeah.
So once a month or whatever, go in here
Well,
and
yeah,
check
however you
for
like,
things
once
like
a
that.
week, once every other week, just mark it on your calendar and just go into your apps. Takes a few seconds to go in, look at the permissions, turn them off if you don't want them, and, and save it and go to the next app. Now, obviously, if
Exactly.
you have 1,000 apps, then it's gonna take some more
And
time, but
I like to, whenever I think about antivirus, I like to talk about the protection elements because one of the first things that we talked about was how do you know those links are good?
Mhm.
The web protection for most of these tools actually does that.
Okay.
When you click on a link that's bad, it just immediately pops up with a, "Hey, you didn't want to do that. Trust me."
Yeah.
And when it works, it's a blessing. Believe me.
Yes.
Um, I can't tell you. Even though I'm a security professional, it doesn't mean that I don't occasionally make mistakes. And I
Right.
will say that because I keep my antivirus up to date and my anti-malware tools up to date, I don't have generally. I've never really had anything. I don't know in 10 years where I've had to rebuild everything from scratch because of a virus or something like that.
Yeah.
And 99% of why is because number one, I don't click on things I kind of know I shouldn't. But second, if I do click on something bad, I have these tools like web
That
protection
warn you.
running. Yeah, and it freezes the action so that you're not accidentally doing something you shouldn't.
Right, and,
Um,
that's something where we tell people, you in your subscription for antivirus, anti-malware, you want to make sure it has multiple devices because you want to have it on your phone.
right.
And you really, the way to get it on there is you go into your account like you're doing here and you search for how to install on an iPhone or how to install on an Android phone. It's going to take you to the screen within that app, and it's usually a QR code that you scan your phone, and then it brings it up on and it'll install it on your phone because clicking on a link by accident is so easy to do on a mobile phone. So
Sure
easy
is,
to do.
especially when you get those text messages.
Right.
The crazy text messages. I will say, I've been noticing that the iPhone in particular has been really ramping up some good features
Oh, good.
related to that.
Okay, good.
In one of the chat features, when I use mine, I
Yeah.
have these buttons at the top that
Mhm.
are my favorite people.
Okay.
But way up at the top, there's on this side, there's a filter button, and that filter button, when you tap it, it gives you this little pop-up list. And I know that's probably really hard to see, but the pop-up list tells me that they've actually got unknown senders, spam, recently deleted, and manage your filtering
Oh,
all available to you there,
okay.
which makes it so much easier to actually know that you're getting something from a safe sender.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, we have got like 7 or 8 minutes left. So, what do we wanna
Well, how about we go back to the chat tools for a second? Let
Okay.
me give a little bit of a guided tour of the general. Like I've got a couple of these chat tools open here,
Okay.
and there are some features that you should know about if you decide to use one of these tools. And if nobody's ever shown you, you would never know. So the chat is pretty straightforward, right? It's
Mhm.
just type in a message, type in a prompt, ask to help create a prompt. That's all
And if
straightforward.
you click on the microphone over to the right, you could
Mhm, and you can
actually
talk.
talk
Yep.
and it's gonna populate. Then you can, make sure that, it's capturing everything you're saying.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, on my phone or in my car, because I have a Tesla, I did buy a Tesla, and I can push the button on the steering wheel and it brings up Grok.
Oh,
That's
wow.
another reason why I have Grok is it allows me
Wow.
to use it in my car, and it's part of the car. It's not
Wow.
like attached to my phone. It's actually the computer in the car has Grok right there. So I,
Wow.
I hit the button and I say, what restaurants, 11 o'clock at night, I want a snack. I want an ice cream or something. And
Yeah.
what stores are open and where can I get ice cream at
Yeah.
11 o'clock? And it'll plot out on the map for me exactly where to go. And then I just hit full self-driving and it drives me there and I don't have to touch the wheel. This is,
Wow. I
this is
think
the extreme of AI going out
yeah, I
there.
think in a few short years, our cars are gonna be able to fly.
There's actually already a set of cars that are flying. There are
Oh,
in
jeez.
California. If you watch Moonshots, it's a YouTube podcast.
Uh-huh.
There are two companies here in the U.S. that are already working on flying cars, and they're
Wow.
talking about how it's going to transform real estate because places
Wow.
you would never normally be able to get into, these
Yeah.
cars will just fly in and drop down right in the area. So imagine
Wow.
that cabin in the woods. You
Yeah.
find the clearing up on the mountainside that's level where you can fly in,
Yeah.
and you never actually have a road. You just
Oh,
fly
jeez.
in. So, but anyways, to go back to
Yeah.
this, I just want to give you a quick tour here, and I'm going to use the screenshot stuff to work on this so we can easily see it and do it that way. So most of these tools have obviously search, which is the search is, don't be deceived. The search is looking at all of your previous chats.
Ah,
So
okay.
it's saying, remember that I'm looking for that chat we had where I talked about my medications.
Got it.
So that's what the search is for. That's
It's
not
not
Google
searching the
search.
internet. It's
Yeah,
just searching your previous chats that you've
exactly.
saved.
And because these chats, you're going to keep them over time, especially if you subscribe, and
Mhm.
they've become super useful. So being able to search the chats is what that's for. The
Okay.
chat itself is when you're asking a prompt. The voice, obviously, is when you want to just talk to it and have a conversation. And then imagine, in this case, is video. You want it to create an image or a video instead of creating a text response. Now, the second area, and most of these products have a version of this, is a thing called projects.
Okay.
So, projects are where you can store a set of prompts that you want to use over and over again.
Okay.
So, in my case, I've got these three projects. One is high traffic X posts. I like to see what's new today. And,
Mhm.
every morning, what I do is I open this prompt and then I right click on the link and open it in a new tab. And I go right down. I usually have about 20 of these and I just pop them all open real quick. And then I just read them. And I'll show you that in a second.
Okay.
The personal health one is exactly what it sounds like. I've
Right.
taken my medical records. And by the way, 90% of these, especially if you own the project, you can set the projects to private and it's only your data.
Very
So
good.
I've uploaded my labs, my medicines, my supplements, put it all in there. And I use it to say, should I increase or decrease a given supplement so that I'm not just taking too much of something?
So
So
you can set the specific project to
that's correct.
private.
Right.
And so then somebody else using this AI tool, your
They'll never see
information's
it.
not gonna be out there for their prompt to grab.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly right. And so I started off with these special instructions,
Mhm.
and this is essentially my super prompt, right? This is I asked it to help me create a prompt,
Yeah.
and that's what I put in here. So
Okay.
and you can see I gave it a persona. I said, you are a precision nutrition AI specialized in optimal health meal planning.
Okay.
And then I created a little bit further down, some instructions.
Mm-hmm.
And then from the instructions, I create conversations, and
Okay.
it gives me exact ingredients for recipes and things like that.
Okay.
So, and the output of something like this is I wanted to say, based on my nutrition, based on my supplements, based on my health profile, I want you to go propose a bunch of menu items that I can put on my menu for this week. And then I want you to go find all of the local shopping places where I can get that stuff
Oh,
and tell
okay.
me who's got it on sale.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah. And that's what this is,
I
because
see.
now,
Publix, Walmart, I saw on there.
yep, yep,
Yeah.
because I'm just picking the stores that are close to me. So I've got
Right.
Publix, Walmart, Aldi's, and then basically it breaks down the list and says, get the following items at Walmart because they're cheapest
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Go to Publix because they have a buy one, get one. And
Right.
then
Use
go
the
to
digital
Aldi's because they
coupon.
have a great price.
Yeah. Wow. Can
So,
you, we have like about a minute and a half left. Can you show how to set a project as private?
sure. So the first step in creating a project is to set it up so that project only can only access its own memories. So it's staying inside the project.
Okay.
And then we'll say, and we'll create a
Investing.
project. And then when we get into the project settings, typically this, the project only is the trick. It's staying inside the source. But I'm not sure, but this is ChatGPT, and I don't know if they have a privacy setting on theirs. Let's go back to Grok. So when I use Grok, it has this private option, and when I go to new projects, we'll give it a name, and this is where I would put in that prompt. I'd create a prompt first,
Yeah.
and then once I have the prompt, at this point, I drop files in, or I can add sources. There's a bunch of different ways to add sources. And then from here, when I get into a conversation, it's usually in the conversation that I'm going to set things as private. So, and it may be that I overspoke about the privacy settings of the project itself, because generally speaking, the project, it's your personal files that stay private, that you're restricting it to the project. The chat is where you're going to do general, when you do a general chat, that's where you can set things to private. So we go back out. There we go. In the top right corner, this is a private chat.
Under chat. Okay.
Yeah. So
all right. Projects should
I was
automatically.
pretty sure that you had privacy settings in the projects, but it's not that you're having privacy settings. It's that you're restricting to the content in the project.
Okay. But on most people are going to go under the chat, and in the top right-hand corner, they'll see private, and they can just click on private.
And this is another place where, let me just confirm it before I state it. On behavior, I believe, no. So I'm pretty sure that you can set some privacy settings, but I'm
security.
That's one thing we'll have to maybe even request. Here we go, security.
Yeah. Log in with a password, multi-factor.
Yeah, this is all just
recovery
login
codes.
security. So that's it. Yeah, I think we need to. I'm going to request a feature on this actually, and say, hey, by the way, I want my project to be private. And where can I set that? So I'll actually be doing that for Grok at least, because since I pay for it, they'll listen a little bit closer.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, that's a lot of information, David. Thank you so much.
Sure thing.
I've got about maybe 30 seconds to close here before I get in trouble for going over.
Go ahead.
So anyways, thank you guys for joining us today. Lots of great information on how to do your research for different software products and how to refine those the research, and actually have a conversation with different AI platforms, and how to make sure the links are legitimate, reliable links. It'll walk you through how you can verify that. So thank you, David, for all that information. Don't forget, go to roseadvocacy.org. So all of our social media channels are at the top. Down at the bottom, we have the ways you can sign up for our email newsletter and our mailed newsletter. The emailed one, you're going to get a Tuesday tip every Tuesday morning at 9:15 Arizona time. You might already know it, but it's going to reinforce your scam prevention habits. And next week, the next 3 weeks, Brian Watson's going to be back. So I'm sure he'll have a lot of great information for you. And I will be back at the end of the month. So until then, have a great day.
Well, that's all the knowledge for this episode. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio at k4hd.com as Joyce explores a variety of knowledge so you have the power to make scam protection your healthy habit. And until then, feel free to reach out to Joyce and let's talk about scams.